welcome to Monson Made This. My name is Michael. This is the 6th recipe in our week of whole food, plant-based, grain, bean, green, seed. Did I get it all? A grain, a bean, a green, a seed. It's so confusing, I can't even get it anymore. But this is the 6th episode. We did miss a day. We had some technical difficulties, so we skipped a day, but we're back. This is number 6, and I have a delicious and easy ramen recipe for you. So let me go through what each of the components are here. We'll blend some stuff up, we'll cook some stuff on the stove, and we'll have this delicious, succulent, very hearty ramen dish. So my grain is going to be this brown rice and millet ramen, and it's from this brand, Lotus Foods. They make a bunch of different types of different grains. I really like this one. This is my favorite texture. You could also use like zucchini noodles if you wanted to make it more whole food plant-based, but I really like these brown rice noodles, so that's what I'm using today. My bean is going to be this tofu. This is actually left over from the breakfast tacos video, which I'll have linked above. And these are just little cubes of tofu. I'm gonna be calling this my Almost Too Much Tofu Ramen because I'm gonna be using all of this, and I just love putting a ton of tofu in ramen. Just adds a ton of protein. I love the texture, I love the flavor, and it just really helps to bulk the dish up. Now my veggie today is going to be this broccolini, which I think in a couple videos ago I was calling sprouting broccoli, but it is broccolini. You could use regular broccoli, whatever kind of veggies you like. I'll also be adding some radishes, so we could count that as a veggie as well. My green is this kale, which I just thinly sliced. And then my seed, or my whole plant fat, is going to be this peanut butter here. Now originally this recipe was made with sunflower seeds, and I just didn't have any today, and instead of going to the store, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try this recipe with peanut butter. So this is gonna help thicken up and make the broth really rich. So let's actually make the broth right now. It's all gonna happen in the NutriBullet. I'm just gonna throw ingredients in there, we'll blend it, and then we can take care of everything else back on the stove. The full recipe will be on monsonmadethis.com, but I'll tell you the amounts that I'm putting in here. There's 2 cups of water and a clove of garlic in my NutriBullet. To that, I am adding some miso paste. There's just about 2 teaspoons in there. And then peanut butter, there's just a heaping tablespoon. If you're going to be using sunflower seeds like I was doing originally, you want 2 tablespoons of raw sunflower seeds. So put that in there. I'll lick this bowl later because I don't want any peanut butter to go to waste. And then the seasoning component, other than the miso, is going to be obviously Bragg's liquid aminos because I don't think I cook anything without it. And you just want about 2 teaspoons up to a tablespoon of that. So this is all going to get blended together, and you want this to go until it gets really creamy. There's no chunks or bits of anything that you're blending up in there. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Let's blend. This is well blended and nice and creamy. I've licked the peanut butter dish clean. So this is gonna go into one pot. I also have another pot behind me. I'm not sure what Hopper's getting into back there, but I have another pot behind me that's just full of lightly salted water. That's what the veggies and the noodles are gonna cook in. So let's move this island out of the way, get back to the stove, finish this up. To this pot, I'm going to be putting in my broth mixture. It's gonna be a little bit foamy right now because of the peanut butter, but that will go down a little bit. Now I want to make sure that I don't bring this to a boil. I want it to heat up. I want it to come to a simmer. I'm going to stir it occasionally, but I really don't want it to boil because that could cause the mixture to maybe curdle a little bit and you'll get a little bit more separation. It's naturally going to settle because we're dealing with natural elements, but by not bringing it to a boil, you'll avoid it settling too much. Now in this pot, as I said, is with some boiling water with a little bit of salt. And I'm just going to basically cook the noodles. That'll take about 4 minutes. I will take those noodles out. So let's put them in now, actually. Set the timer for 4 minutes. And as soon as that's done, I'm going to take it out, put it on a plate, and then I'm going to put the broccolini in for about 1 minute, put the kale in for about 1 minute, put the tofu in for about 1 minute just to kind of blanch them, to heat them through, and then I'll have all of the elements separately ready to go, and then we'll assemble the ramen bowl once everything's done. All right, so 4 minutes is up. That means my noodles are done. So I'm gonna carefully try to get them out of the water here. Again, I'm just moving them to a plate. If you weren't worried about plating at all, oh my gosh, Hopper is going crazy on those blinds. If you weren't worried about plating at all, you could literally just throw all the veggies, or I would actually put the veggies in the last minute of the noodles cooking instead of having to do them all separately, but I'm trying to make it look pretty today, so that's why I'm doing everything separate. All right, so the noodles are out. They're just gonna hang out on that plate. Now I'm going to add the broccolini. Again, I want this to go for maybe just a minute. I want the color to brighten up a little bit. I want them to be just slightly tender. I'm not trying to cook them. I want them to have still a nice bite to them. All right, it's been just about a minute. I'm gonna take the broccolini out, put it onto the plate. Next thing I'm going to add is the kale. Again, 30 seconds to a minute. I just want this to wilt down a little bit. You could use spinach, whatever your favorite type of greens are. But I had kale on hand, so that's what I'm using today. And I'm actually ready to take it out. Not even 30 seconds. Time for the last component, which is going to be the tofu. And that's, again, a half block of tofu, just cut up into little cubes. The order that I put these in is irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. You could have cooked the noodles last. You could cook them in any order whatsoever. This just, because I know the noodles are gonna heat it up in the broth, I wasn't too worried about them cooling off. And the other things are maybe gonna stick out or poke out a little bit, so I wanted them to be a little bit warmer. This broth, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, it did come up to like the lightest of simmers, and so I just covered it with a lid to keep it warm, but that's ready to go. And I think the tofu is warmed through, so this is gonna come out now as well. All of my components are done. The broth is back there waiting. I have the kale, the broccolini, the noodles cooked here. I have the tofu that's warmed through. So now I'm just going to put it all into this bowl, arrange it nicely. I'm gonna top it with some radishes, some green onion. I'm also gonna add a little bit of chili crisp. This does have oil. It is basically oil and chili. If you're oil-free, obviously don't add this. You can add another type of hot sauce. I just really like this flavor, and I'm not too worried about the small amount of oil that's gonna come from this. I also have this togarashi, which is a really great Japanese seasoning. It's got chili. It actually has orange peel, sesame seeds, and then I'm also gonna be adding some black sesame seeds on top as well. So let's assemble this, and then I get to dig in. So ready to give this a taste. I tasted the broth and it's incredible. Like, it's so complex when the ingredients are so simple. So I'm just getting a little bit of the noodles, a little bit of the kale, and some of the broth on my spoon. Again, there's just so much going on. Like, the peanut butter adds a richness. It doesn't really read like peanut butter. I said that I had tried it yesterday with sunflower seeds and it came out great. I think I actually like the peanut butter a little bit better. It's just so good, so rich, so full of umami, just like salty. It's exactly what you want from a bowl of ramen. And this came together really quickly. I know someone's gonna ask, well, could I just basically simmer all of this stuff together with the broth? Yeah, totally. I was trying to make this look pretty for presentation purposes, but you could simplify this by just basically blending all of the broth ingredients, cooking the noodles directly in it, adding the veggies toward the end, and you'd be in great shape. So ready to finish eating this in my Monsonmadethis video. So if you want to watch any of those, I think this is going to be number 60. So you can click the join button below or go to the link below for the Patreon and you can watch all 60 of the monsonmadethis videos. So those of you that have joined, thank you. I will see you right over there in a second. And thanks to those of you that have subscribed to the channel. Thanks to those of you that are about to or have given this video a thumbs up. And we have one more plant-based recipe to go in this week of recipes. It's been a long week, but we're getting there. So thank you all for watching, and I'll have a link to the playlist above so you can watch the other ones if you haven't watched them yet. And I will see you tomorrow with another recipe video. Bye.